LoveLore Library. Chapter 416. Let Fu Qin bite them too. Gu Zhenyang merely sneered. He swung his arm, and the vines disintegrated into pieces, scattering across the ground. In a split second, Qing Han dashed toward Gu Zhenyang. Vines could be seen soaring up to the sky. My mother is mad. I won't forgive anyone who makes her mad. You are nothing but a spirit beast. You have bitten off more than you can chew. Gu Zhenyang let out a piercing scream as a deadly aura emitted from him. It was so overwhelming that the entire Yang Xan Hall collapsed into a pile of ruins. As Feng Tianyu and the people around him were covered with vines, they were still safe and sound. However, luck was not on Feng Rishuang and Lu Rong's side. Both of them were pinned down under the debris, gasping for air. Gu Zhenyang did not even spare a glance at both of them. His eyes were still fixed on both Feng Tianyu and Feng Ruqing. Zhen Qing could not bear to see Feng Rishuang and Lu Rong suffering and took both of them out from under the debris. As Qing Han had exhausted all her vines to protect Feng Tianyu and the people around him, she had nothing left for herself. The aura hit her on her chest and sent her flying backward. Qing Han's arms flailed in the air, trying desperately to grab hold of something to balance herself. Rising up on her tiptoes, Feng Ruqing leaped into the air. She tugged Qing Han's tiny body into her embrace and landed steadily on the ground. Qing Han. Fu Chen's face darkened as he dashed toward Qing Han. Seeing that Qing Han was still safe and sound, he heaved a sigh of relief. In a split second, Fu Chen turned to look at Gu Zhenyang, his eyes darkened. Mother, he is quite something. Even though Gu Zhenyang was no match for the masters from the Divine Herbs sect, he was the strongest opponent that Fu Chen had ever met since he started staying with Feng Ruqing. Naturally, the state preceptor was an exception as Fu Chen simply had no idea of how powerful the state preceptor was. Perhaps he is on the same tier with Jiu Ming of Paramount, Fu Chen continued after pausing for a while. A glimmer of light flashed in Feng Ruqing's eyes. Her face reflected indifference. She did not care about his identity and his strength. All she knew was that the person who stood before her had hurt her king. She would fight back no matter what and never shrink back. Mother. Fu Chen's gaze subtly shifted. He tugged at Feng Ruqing's sleeve to stop her from any impulsive action. You are from the Divine Herbs sect. Fu Chen looked at Gu Zhenyang with a dark face. You're right. Gu Zhenyang's eyes narrowed as he smirked. No, you are not. The Divine Herbs sect was destroyed and no one from the sect survived. Fu Chen shook his head resolutely. 1,000 years ago, the Divine Herbs sect had lost its foothold not long after the 9th Emperor had disappeared. Since then, the opponents of the Divine Herbs sect had wiped out the entire sect. No one had survived the calamity besides Fu Chen and Qing Han as they were hiding in the medium. However, Gu Zhenyang had actually claimed that he was from the Divine Herbs sect. It was complete nonsense. Not even a disciple had survived the calamity. Fu Chen had even moved the entire sect away. The current Divine Herbs sect had no real existence. Ha! This is the best joke I have ever heard. The Divine Herbs sect is one of the top 3 sects with the loftiest power in the reclusive world. Who is capable of wiping out the entire Divine Herbs sect? Currently, the reclusive world was unrivaled in this realm. Chapter 417. Let Fu Chen bite them 3. The Divine Herbs sect feared no one except the genius decades ago. However, his name was forbidden in the reclusive world. When the great influencers of the Divine Herbs sect heard of his name, they would lose their minds and beat the crap out of whoever mentioned his name. In some severe cases, some of them were paralyzed, beaten by the elders of their own clans and could never get up from their beds ever again. Perhaps, only the elders of the Divine Herbs sect knew about this. Gu Jinyang was the only one who knew this besides the elders. One could easily tell how devastating the genius and the dreadful calamity he had brought to the reclusive world were. Otherwise, the people of the reclusive would not be so afraid of him. It was a pity that there were too many masters in the reclusive world and the genius was fighting all alone. In the end, he had pledged his lifetime freedom for a contract. The genius was truly something. There were actually so many masters in the reclusive world, but he, alone, was capable of turning the entire reclusive world upside down. Even though neither side had gained in the calamity, the reclusive world had lost its reputation. Hence, the people in the Divine Herb sect were greatly infuriated by the things that had happened back then. If even that genius was not capable of wiping out the Divine Herb sect, who on earth was capable of doing this? Nonsense. Feng Rishuang too was dumbfounded. She could no longer resist the urge to laugh. Feng Riching, you are just jealous of the Divine Herb sect, Nai, aren't you? How dare you say that the entire Divine Herb sect has been wiped out? You just don't want me associated with the Divine Herb sect, do you? No matter how much you're jealous of me, I am still the daughter of the young master of the Divine Herb sect. Feng Rishuang had been living in Feng Ruking's shadows for years and finally had a chance to come out of her shadow. Beaming with pride, Feng Rishuang stayed on her high horse. Counterfeits will always be counterfeits. You have actually passed yourself off as someone from the Divine Herb sect for so many years. Fu Chen's face was even colder than before. You are too presumptuous. Gu Jinyang raised his arm, a power was emitted from his palm, and it rushed toward Fu Chen. At this time, an arm stretched out from the side, wrapped itself around Fu Chen's body, and tugged him into a warm embrace. She turned around, the power hit her back. Blurg. Feng Riching spat out a mouthful of blood. Fu Chen could feel as if Feng Ruking's blood was spat at his heart. The pain was like a fire burning furiously within him. Every little thing that happened when they were together in the past few months flashed through her mind. Feng Riching closed her eyes slowly as she wanted to engrave those memories in her heart forever. If you happen to meet the state preceptor in the future, tell him that I cannot marry him in this life. I will definitely come back to him in my next life. He can never get rid of me. No. Fu Chen shouted at the top of his lungs as tears started to fall from his eyes. Gasping for air, Qin Han was crying for she was reluctant to part from Feng Ruqing, but she felt also helpless that she could not do anything about it. Mother, let us out. I am very fierce. I can bite them. Mother, let us out. She pounded her tiny fists on the ground, her feet were kicking violently as if wanted to break this medium apart so she could get out of here. Mother, don't leave me behind. Brother Fu Qin and I have been waiting for 1,000 years for you. How could you let us suffer another 1,000 years of loneliness again? We can't bear to lose you after having you in our lives. Chapter 419, Mother, don't leave me behind. 2. Mother, I am really useful. Can you please let me out? The 9th Emperor had left us behind. Now, you are dumping us too. Am I too foolish and ignorant so both Mother and the 9th Emperor dislike me? I will be smarter and more obedient in the future. Don't leave me behind, all the connections between them had been cut off. Qin Han called out for Feng Ruqing desperately, but her voice faded mid-sentence. She could no longer reach out to Feng Ruqing. At that moment, Qin Han's heart was completely broken. She felt as if she had lost something which could not be replaced for the rest of her life. Brother Fu Qin, if we could be stronger, that would be so great. Qin Han got up with a blank look in her eyes. Her face was covered with tears like she had lost her soul. Qin Han thought that she would be much stronger after consuming plenty of grade 3 spirit herbs. It was true that Qin Han had become much stronger and was capable of protecting her mother. However, she was still no match for those who were even stronger than her. If I am extremely powerful, no one would dare to bully mother. Enriching would not leave them behind just like the 9th emperor did. Qin Han. You can't do this. No, Fu Qin ran up to Qin Han and wrapped her tightly in his embrace. His body was shaking as tears streamed down his face. But mother left us because I am too weak. Qin Han was dumped. She would be so lonely and simply no one knew how long she needed to wait until another person stepped into the medium. She didn't dump us. She just doesn't want us to die. She has intentionally broken the connection with us. She is still alive. She is not dead. Fu Chen's lips were trembling, his eyes filled with grief. Qin Han lowered her eyes. Her eyes were clouded with tears. Her heart was engulfed in sorrow. If only she could be stronger, that would be so great. The Divine Herbs sect. Fu Chen's eyes glimmered with evil intent. The Divine Herbs sect embodied the 9th emperor's lifetime of painstaking effort. No one could simply ruin it. No one could bully the weak in the name of the Divine Herbs sect. Fu Chen had been holding tightly to the faith in the Divine Herbs sect. No one could tarnish it. No one could hurt his kin in the name of the Divine Herbs sect. Not far away in the sky, a man in a snowy white robe was staring at a few people who were blocking his way. He looked calm and very much at ease. Young master, the master of the Mu family has tasked us to invite you to the Mu family. The man with one hand behind his back was elegant and graceful like a lotus standing aloof from the world. My surname is Nan, not Mu. He only had a mother, Nan Sui. Young master, Tianshan Manor is in chaos. All the clans are fighting with each other. The master said that you must return to Tianshan Manor. The middle-aged man said anxiously. The master of the Mu family had tasked him to bring Nan Xian back to the manor. If the Nan Xian refused, he was no match for him. Moreover, Nan Xian was not young. He actually had an arranged marriage. As the master of the Mu family dared not talk to Nan Xian, he had tasked this man to persuade him. Even Nan Xian's father dared not to force his own son. What else could this celestial guard do? Chapter 420, Mother, don't leave me behind. 3. The man's facial expression changed when the palace guard was hesitant. Everybody knew that young Master Nan Xian came from Tianshan Manor and he was always calm and quiet. It seemed that nothing in the world could affect his emotions. But, it seemed that there was a cloud of coldness enveloping Nan Xian's whole presence. There was a deep desire to kill in his eyes. Young Master, please calm down. I just came to talk with you on behalf of the young Master. The middle-aged man was terrified. His whole body shook with fear and he nearly peed his pants because of Nan Xian's frightening presence. But, Nan Xian did not stay. Nan Xian walked past him. His body was like a soft breeze and he soon disappeared. The middle-aged man sighed in relief when Nan Xian left him. He wiped away the cold sweat on his forehead. A gust of cold breeze blew and he realized that his whole body was covered in sweat. But, he did not know what had infuriated young Master Nan Xian. At the wasteland. Enriching opened her eyes slowly. This war was unavoidable and she could not endanger Fu Qin and Qin Han too. Are you Lan from Paramount? Enriching was calm but there was a thunderstorm hidden beneath the calmness. Lan was stunned. Lady Feng. Enriching raised her hand and a token appeared in her hand. Am the renowned elder of Paramount. As an elder, I order you to prohibit my father from joining the war no matter what happens. You need to protect him. Lan could not stop Feng Tianyu before. But Feng Lan could stop Feng Tianyu easily now because Feng Tianyu could not walk anymore. Qing'er, Feng Tianyu coughed violently. What are you talking about? How could I let my daughter stand in front of me while facing the enemy? Feng Ruqing understood that Feng Tianyu would not listen to her. So, she continued giving out orders. Feng Lan, this is an order. You must obey it. Feng Lan was not hesitant. Yes, elder. Qin Chen had made a breakthrough. He walked toward Feng Ruqing slowly. Feng Ruqing was slightly surprised. She could ask Feng Lan to stop Feng Tianyu, but she was unable to stop Qin Chen. I told you I'll protect you for the rest of your life. Qin Chen knew of Feng Ruqing's thoughts without her even mentioning them. There was a gentle smile on his handsome face, just like the spring breeze. He said that he would protect her for the rest of her life. He would never leave her behind no matter how dangerous the situation was. It was because she was the only one whom he must protect with all that he had. Xiao Qing, I still want to tell you something even though you might never believe it. I had dreams since we came back from the forest of spirit beasts. I dreamt every day. Qin Chen stopped talking for a while. I dreamt about you. In my dreams, you wore a knee-length dress and you were lying on an unfamiliar bed. The surroundings were unfamiliar too. You were weak and it seemed like you would leave me behind. There was another me in the dreams. He had short hair. He told me that he had put the responsibilities of protecting you on me. He asked me to protect you for the rest of your life. Xiao Qing, isn't that funny? We have never met before, but why did I dream of you in that circumstance? I wanted to approach you since the first day we met. I don't want to see anybody hurting you. Feng Ruqing's heart trembled at this. Her tears ran down her cheeks. Cheer, it is you. You've always been here. So, you've always been by my side. I didn't even know that. But, it's too late now. We have recognized each other, but it's too late now. Chapter 421, Nailan Yen, why aren't you appearing? Gu Zhenyang did not give Feng Ruqing any chance. His body moved. Soon, he was in front of Feng Ruqing. Qin Chen used his body to shield Feng Ruqing. The youth's face was lit by the evening glow. It was gentle and warm, like when Feng Ruqing had met him for the first time. Feng Ruqing and Feng Jianqi were the children of a reformed family when they were at Huaxia. They were not siblings by blood. So, they had met for the first time when they were only 10 years old. He had softened her cold heart that year. Feng Ruqing knew afterward that Feng Jianqi was not their stepmother's son but the son left behind by their stepmother's sister. Hence, they became close and intimate as both of them were lonely. They consoled each other and relied on each other. She thought that her death would make Cheer lonely again, but she never thought that he would come here too. Great. Although he still did not remember her, she knew that he was her Cheer. It was the only warmth of her former life. Qin Chen's body was like a fallen leaf and he fell down heavily in front of Feng Ruqing. He did what he had always done. He protected her. Feng Ruqing squatted slowly. Her hands were shaky as she stroked the youth's face. It was as if the familiar face was being imprinted on her memory and that she could never forget it for the rest of her life. Cheer, I should have noticed it much sooner. It's a pity that I have not given you enough warmth and too much has happened. There was a strong power from over her head. Feng Ruqing stood up slowly. Her gaze was cold and she sneered. Gu Zhenyang's hand froze, midair. She resembles her so much. The young girl's expression resembled Yenner so much. Even her sneer was the same as Yenner. It seemed as if Yenner was standing there, right in front of him. He could not move, facing that face. Gu Zhenyang, I finally understand the reason why my mother did not like you. Feng Ruqing walked toward Gu Zhenyang slowly. It's because you're not as good as my father. Gu Jinyang liked Nalan Yen. Feng Ruqing got to know about that from how he looked at her. The man was looking at another woman through her face. There were infatuation and a deep sense of attachment in his eyes. What is that if it is not love? Gu Zenyang's eyes narrowed. What did you say? Your love is to possess the person you love and not fulfilling her being. You hurt her family and her just to possess her. What kind of love is that? I'll never choose a man like you if I were my mother. Love should only exist between two deeply attached people. It was not love if hatred rose just because of unrequited love. That would only be the desire to possess the person you love. Moreover, why is Feng Ruishuang here if you really loved my mother? If you have never stayed true to her, then you'll have no right to love her. It was no use mentioning that men could have 3 or 4 wives. Feng Tianyu was able to do that. Why could he not? So, Gu Jinyang did not really love Nalan Yen. Little girls are really good at arguments. You're stalling for more time so that people would come and save you. Gu Jinyang laughed coldly. Nobody can save you given that you've offended the Divine Spirit sect. Not even if God himself comes. Feng Ruqing laughed coldly. I just want to tell you the truth. You, Gu Jinyang, are nothing but a bastard. Gu Jinyang burst into laughter. Even so, I'm better than Feng Tianyu. He's just a useless person. What use was he if he needed the protection of a woman? You're wrong. There was sarcasm in Feng Ruqing's eyes. My father is the most outstanding person in the world. Chapter 422, Nalan Yen, why aren't you appearing? Feng Tianyu was stunned. He looked at Feng Ruqing helplessly. The young girl's eyes were bright when she said that. It seemed like her eyes were glowing with an extraordinary light. He is not without talent. But, he lacks a place and time to train. He is the emperor of the kingdom and he has a lot of responsibilities to tend to. He sleeps at midnight. When does he have time to train? Even so, he had still reached Spirit Warrior tier a few years ago. His body became weak because he was poisoned. He was heartbroken and his energy was used up in attending to the affairs of the kingdom. Hence, he could not train. If you gave him all the resources you have to him and he did not have to tend to the government affairs, his power would have surpassed you long ago. Feng Tianyu's talent was not any less than Nalan Yan's. But, his strength was not as good as Nalan Yan's. It was because Nalan Yan was just an empress and there were not a lot of people in the palace under her supervision. She had a lot of free time to train but Feng Tianyu could not do the same. Feng Tianyu was limited in the border of the palace. He had numerous affairs to tend to and it made his training path much more difficult. If not, Feng Tianyu would not be any weaker than anyone else. Gu Jinyang laughed without taking heed to what Feng Ruqing had said. What's the use of talking so much? He's still a person whose strength is weak and he has lost the fight. When you lose, you must sacrifice something. Gu Jinyang was not soft-hearted toward Feng Ruqing anymore. He came swiftly at Feng Ruqing and hit her on her chest with a fist. Feng Ruqing still endured the heavy blow even though she had decreased the impact in that attack. Her body shook and she vomited a mouthful of blood. Her face was pale and white. Qinger. Feng Tianyu's heart hurt. He clenched his fists tightly and a feeling of helplessness engulfed him. Gu Zenyang's right. I'm still weak no matter what had made my training difficult. I can't even protect the only daughter I have. I can't take it. Gu Jinyang, I'm the only person you have always hated. Qinger is innocent. You can kill me. You can even humiliate me. Just don't hurt her. Gu Jinyang laughed out loud. Then, I'll do as you wish. Feng Lan's expression changed. She came to stand in front of Gu Zhenyang. But, even a spirit warrior like her could not fight against an opponent as strong as him. Her legs shook with fear and she could not stand upright under the strong pressure of the opponent. Feng Ruqing ordered her to protect Feng Tianyu. She just wanted Feng Lan to stop Feng Tianyu from joining in the fight. But, nobody could stop him if Gu Zhenyang rushed forward. Father! Feng Ruqing's eyes were red and swollen. She staggered and she stood up again. Everybody fixed their eyes on her. She moved fast and shielded Feng Tianyu. Boom! A powerful force hit her body and she vomited a lot of blood. Qin Chen's eyes narrowed and his heart soon stopped beating when he saw the young girl who had rushed forward. Silence fell upon the scene. The quiet wind seemed loud. Gu Zhenyang. Feng Tianyu's each and every word was filled with deep anger. His heart was broken and his hatred was so deep that it soared to the sky. How dare you hurt Qing'er? I, Feng Tianyu, would turn into an evil demon and haunt you even if I need to crawl out from the hell. Feng Ruqing was Feng Tianyu's whole life without Yen'er. Now, the person he loved the most had fallen in front of him. Gu Zhenyang was not bothered by Feng Tianyu. He turned his gaze toward the sky and his hysterical voice filled the whole palace. Chapter 423, Nailan Yen, why aren't you appearing? 3. Nailan Yen, did you see? I have hurt your daughter. Feng Tianyu is going to die. Why aren't you coming out to meet me? I've looked for you for so many years. I've waited for you for so many years. I have even kept watch on Feng Tianyu for so many years. Why aren't you showing yourself? How long are you going to hide from me? You've always loved your kingdom so much and you treat the people in your kingdom like your children. Your family and relatives are as dear to you as your own life. Now, I'm killing your people and I'm hurting your loved ones. Why aren't you here to take revenge on me? Why? Why? I have harmed your family and your people. Why are you still reluctant to meet me? It's been 16 years now. Are you still reluctant to meet me? You have hidden from me in such a way. Gu Zhenyang held his head tightly. His voice was filled with grief and pain. Tears ran down his cheeks and his vision was blurred. The reclusive world could not attack the secular world. So, he had endured the pain up to this point. At first, he did not have to appear that day. But, he still came because he wanted to force her to show herself. Feng Ruqing was stunned. She looked at the pain on Gu Zhenyang's face. She had seen that kind of heartbreaking pain on Feng Tianyu. But, she had never thought that Gu Zhenyang felt like that too. Why? Why does every good man fall in love with Nailan Yen? Nailan Yen is an evil woman. Why do all the good men like her? On the other hand, Feng Ruqing's mother, Lu Rong, was not bad too. If not, Gu Zhenyang would never have slept with her. But Feng Ruqing understood that Gu Zhenyang did not like Lu Rong so much as he could leave her behind. Why are you so useless? Feng Ruqing was angry. Even I could capture the state preceptor's heart. You're my mother. You're so useless that you could not even capture a man's heart. Both of you are women. Why are you so useless compared to Nailan Yen? Nailan Yen was a forbidden name to Lu Rong. Lu Rong had prohibited anybody from bringing her name up. So, what Feng Ruqing said was like a needle pricking at her heart. It was a painful feeling. Lu Rong wanted to tell Feng Ruqing that what she said in the jail that day was a lie. But, she could not bring herself to say it when she saw Feng Ruqing's facial expression. Feng Ruqing did not understand the reason why Lu Rong could be that useless. Luckily, she was different from Lu Rong. Feng Ruqing did not take Feng Ruqing's man away. Feng Ruqing likes the state preceptor. However, he loves me deeply. Feng Ruqing will never be my opponent. There was a smug smile on Feng Rushwang's lips. She looked at Feng Ruqing provocatively. But Feng Ruqing's gaze fell on Gu Zhenyang. She did not even hear what Feng Rushwang said. Feng Ruqing frowned slightly. She felt that there was something wrong. Isn't my mother dead? Why? Nailin Yen, come out now. You better come out. If not, I'll slaughter the whole of Luyun Kingdom and no one will be left behind. Gu Zhenyang's face was covered with tears. There was no more seriousness and calmness. He shouted hysterically, if you come out now, I'll leave straight away. If not, I'll kill everybody in Luyun Kingdom. What answered him was a total silence. Nailin Yen, you love Feng Tianyu deeply and you love your daughter so much. You won't be far from Luyun Kingdom. I know you're watching now. Nailin Yen, I want to meet you. I just want to see you again. Chapter 424, Nailin Yen, why aren't you appearing? For he waited for so many years and he could not wait anymore. Even though the others would notice it, he was unwilling to wait any longer. He wanted to destroy her kingdom and kill her family so that she would make an appearance. Other than that, he did not know how else he could meet her. Feng Tianyu's body froze. He looked at Gu Zhenyang who was now lying on the ground in pain. There was hope rising in his heart. But he soon suppressed that thought. He buried Yenner's corpse himself that year. But he did not know why his calm heart began to beat vigorously after hearing what Gu Zhenyang said. He could not stay calm anymore. Nailin Yen, you're so cruel. Gu Zhenyang's voice was filled with deep pain. It was heartbreaking. If you cannot accept me, then why did you appear in my life? Why did I get to know you? You have even ruined my whole life. I just want you to be by my side for a few years. You have reported to the sect master and I was punished because of that. You even took that chance to run away. If you dislike the women in my manner, then I can ask them to leave. I can kill everybody who has humiliated you. But why are you still reluctant to meet me? Why? Feng Rushwang fixed her eyes on Gu Zhenyang. It seemed that everybody present could feel the grief in his heart. Feng Rushwang was unable to reconcile with the fact that other people loved Nailin Yen that much. But the man in front of him was her own father. Her own father loves another woman. How ridiculous was that? Feng Rushwang clenched her fists tightly. She wanted to go over there, but she could not move. Her legs felt like they were being planted to the ground and rooted there. Feng Tianyu walked toward Gu Zhenyang in staggering steps. His hands were shaky. He pulled at Gu Zhenyang's collar. Feng Tianyu was infuriated and there was a suppressed anger on his pale handsome face. Gu Zhenyang, what is the meaning of that? You better explain. Is Yenner alive? Is it? Feng Tianyu cried. He wanted to know the answer. He was afraid that what he had heard just now was only him deceiving himself. He said that he did not care whether Yenner still loved him as long as she was alive. He did not care whether she had fallen in love with another man. As long as she's alive. Gu Zhenyang laughed coldly. He pushed Feng Tianyu aside with a slap. Feng Ruqing quickly rushed forward and held Feng Tianyu's body. Her cold eyes fell on Gu Zhenyang. Feng Tianyu, you're just an emperor of a kingdom in the secular world. Even though you're strong in the secular world, your strength could never be compared with those in the reclusive world. But I'm jealous of you. I'm so jealous of you that I want to kill you. Gu Zhenyang's body was shaky and there was deep pain on his face. It's because you have still gained Yenner's love even though you have nothing. If possible, I'll throw away my status in the Divine Herbs sect. I'll abandon the power and status I have now. as long as she's by my side. However, Feng Tianyu owns nothing. But he has Nailan Yen. It's like he owns the whole world. I'll make you the young master of the Divine Herbs sect. I can even give you my master. Just give me Yenner. Give her to me. Gu Zhenyang was mad now. His expression was frantic and his lips were shaky. I can give you everything I own. You just give me Yenner's heart. Chapter 425, What a Delight. Nailan Yen is still alive. Feng Tianyu laughed coldly. For me, she is my whole life. There's nothing that could compare to her, no matter how big the world is or how strong the power and influence are. In these past years, Feng Tianyu had no ambition to pursue more power or status. He just took care of his people in the kingdom and he did not strive for any more power. All fights had lost their meanings. It's pointless even if the whole world has the same surname as I, or if I could unite the 6 kingdoms without Nailan Yen by my side. Losing the person who could be with you for the rest of your life, and then you were left all alone in this world to watch the world pass you by. Even if the world was breathtaking, it was nothing compared to being in hell with her. Lu Rong's mouth twisted in disgust as if she had swallowed a fly. She had always known that Gu Zhenyang liked Nailan Yen. But she had never thought that Gu Zhenyang's love for her was that deep. Gu Zhenyang could use all of his power and influence in exchange for Nailan Yan's heart. But Feng Tianyu could also resist all temptation just to keep her heart. Why? Why do all the men around me love Nailan Yen deeply? Nailan Yen is just a woman who had ruined the kingdom and the people. Feng Tianyu coughed again and he vomited a mouthful of blood. It might be because he had talked too much. There was a sarcastic smile on his weak face. Gu Zhenyang, you say that you love Yenner, but your love for her is hurting the people she cares about. Yenner was someone who valued her loved ones. She cared about her family and relatives. She loved the nation's people. But the man who said that he loved her was now hurting all the people she loved. To the Divine Herbs sect, all the common people in this world are useless people. You don't care about lives. You trample on lives for your own amusement. You can even bear to kill the woman you love. So, Yenner would never accept you. My Yenner is kind. It's impossible that she would love that cruel and savage person. Even if I'm not here, Yenner would never accept Gu Zhenyang. You're spewing nonsense. Gu Zhenyang's facial expression was manic. He laughed out loud. Tears ran down his cheeks as he laughed. I don't care about lives. Only strong people can survive in the mainland. The weak people would only be killed even if I don't kill them. But all I care about is Yenner. I can hurt all the people in the world. But I'll never hurt her. I have only appeared in her life after you. That was why she did not fall in love with me. There was a flash of light in Feng Tianyu's eyes. He was unable to bear it and he clenched his fists tightly. His breathing was heavy and quick. Yenner is still alive. There were endless happiness and excitement in his heart. His body was shaky and there was excitement on his pale face. Yenner is not dead. She's really alive. He had always thought that Yenner was killed by the Divine Herbs sect. But now that Gu Zhenyang had spilled the beans, that meant that his Yenner was still alive. Gu Zhenyang finally recovered his senses. His eyes were cold. Are you trying to make me say something I didn't mean to say? No wonder Feng Tianyu talked so much with me, given that he can barely hold himself together in that condition. How dare he does that? I came today just to force her to show herself. There's no need to hide now. Gu Zhenyang laughed coldly. At first, I did order somebody to go and attack your kingdom. You're poisoned anyway. I don't have to order someone else to destroy your kingdom. I just have to lead you away so that I can take her away. Feng Tianyu's fists were clenched even tighter now. Gu Zhenyang's words made the clouds in his heart disappear. He became happy and excited. Why does Yenna want to leave with you? Yenna never told Feng Tianyu those things. So, he had never faced the danger with her before. Chapter 426, What a Delight. Nayland Yen is still alive too. How lonely would Yenna be at that time? I told her that if she did not go away with me, it'll definitely destroy Luyun Kingdom one day. I will definitely do what I have said. Yenna promised to be with me for a few years because she wanted to protect you. There was jealousy in Gu Zhenyang's eyes. He gritted his teeth in hatred. That's why I hate you so much. Back then, Gu Zhenyang would definitely have destroyed Luyun Kingdom if Nayland Yen did not leave with him because of the hate that had arisen from his love. He could leave Luyun Kingdom behind because Nayland Yen had left with him. I went and ordered somebody to brew something to alter a person's looks so that you'll not go and look for Yenner. That potion is not used for regular disguises. It appears more real than that. So, the corpse that you buried that day in the Imperial Mausoleum was not Yenner. Gu Zhenyang closed his eyes in pain. She's the only woman I have loved in my life. I never thought of forcing her to do anything. If she was unwilling to let me approach her, then I'll not do so. The women in my manor had always gone and annoyed her. I had even asked them to leave. I even redecorated my manor so that it would look exactly like General Manor. Hence, she would have a sense of belonging there. I sacrificed a lot for her, but she had never accepted me. She had even reported me in front of the sect master on the day of the meeting. The people of the Divine Herbs sect were not the only people there on the day of the meeting. The people of Tianshan Manor were there too. The sect master wanted to defend him, but he could not do so. Therefore, Gu Zhenyang was locked up and Yenner was then sent away. However, he could not locate her anymore after he was finally freed from jail. That year, Yenner went back to the Divine Herbs sect with me, but she still treated me coldly. I returned to Luyun Kingdom because I wanted to take revenge on you. I slept with Lu Rong so that she would be pregnant. Then, my child would fight against your child. But, I never thought that Lu Rong was that stupid and useless. Even the Lu family could not be helped. My effort was a waste. I thought that Yenner would come back and look for you, so I hid here for a long time. But, there was still no sight of her after so many years. Feng Tianyu, I'm really jealous of you sometimes. There's a woman who has her whole heart for you. She could live without meeting you, and she let you thought that she's dead so that she could protect you. In fact, Gu Zhenyang knew the truth all the time. Nayland Yen would not be doing anything all this while. She must have hidden somewhere and was preparing for a retort ion so that she could overcome his power and influence. Then, she would come back and meet Feng Tianyu. But, the sect master was dissatisfied with him because of what had happened that year. So, he did not dare to use the power of the Divine Herbs sect, and he could not even locate her. But, he could wait no more. He still wanted to force her to show herself even though the Divine Herbs sect got to know about that incident. He still wanted to see her again, although he might have to endure another heavy punishment. Feng Tianyu staggered forward. His body was shaky. There was deep anger and pain in his eyes. I remember now. During the first 3 years when Yenner was not around, I had drowned myself in the government affairs just to forget about the pain. I was unwell at that time, and I had even fainted in the imperial study room a few times. I had even ordered all the eunuchs and maids out so that no one knew that I had fainted. But, I was already at Yang Exean Hall when I woke up. The eunuchs and maids did not know how I came back. There were a few other instances. Qing'er had cried and come looking for me. She said that she met with a woman who looked just like her mother in the picture. I had always thought that we missed her so much that we were hallucinating. But, now that I think about it, Yenner has been by my side those 3 years. Chapter 427, What a Delight. Naylan Yen is still alive. 3 Yenner must have secretly looked at Chinger from afar during those 3 years. But, Chinger was still young and she could not voice out her feelings. Then, what happened next? Why didn't Yenner return after that? Gu Zhenyang burst into laughter and tears at the same time. Nobody knew better than Gu Zhenyang the reason why Naylan Yen did not appear after 3 years. Naylan Yen reported him to the Divine Herbs sect that year. Gu Zhenyang was forced to stay in the Divine Herbs sect for 3 years without being able to leave. But the Divine Herbs sect did not kill him for such a small matter as that. Hence, Naylan Yen did not dare to appear in front of the public. After 3 years, Gu Zhenyang could finally leave the Divine Herbs sect. Naylan Yen was afraid that Gu Zhenyang would take revenge on Feng Tianyu. Therefore, she did not dare to appear. Yenner, is that how deep your love for him is? He couldn't protect you and he couldn't even protect your son and daughter. Why did you fall in love with him? Gu Zhenyang shouted hysterically, I'm much more outstanding than him. Why don't you like me? Feng Ruqing stood beside Feng Tianyu all this while. She clenched her fists tightly. She had gained much force by doing so. Gu Zhenyang. Feng Ruqing fixed her eyes on Gu Zhenyang. What do you mean by that? Why did you mention about a son and a daughter? There was a cold smile on Gu Zhenyang's face. That year, Yenner gave birth to a pair of twins. She had a son and a daughter. She threatened to kill herself if I did anything to her children. So, I didn't hurt them. But I realized that there is only a princess in Luyun Kingdom when I came here. There was no prince. It looks like that child was murdered. Boom! A loud thunder exploding in Feng Tianyu's brain. I still have another child. Feng Tianyu remembered that there was only Yenner's corpse and a daughter when he went back to the palace after fighting off the enemies. Then, where's my son? Who took my son? Who dared to steal my son from my palace? But, I've been lied to for so many years. There was inexpressible happiness in Gu Zhenyang's heart when he saw the pain on Feng Tianyu's face. Gu Zhenyang wanted to destroy all of Feng Tianyu's hope and force him into despair. Gu Zhenyang wanted Feng Tianyu to realize that his uselessness was the cause of his son's death. Are you saying that? I still have a brother. Feng Ruqing suddenly let go of Feng Tianyu. She moved toward Gu Zhenyang quickly. Tell me. Do I have a brother? Her reaction was drastic. It was not only sadness but it was also filled with deep anger. She had the desire to kill. Everybody was stunned. Even if Feng Ruqing knew of the existence of an unknown brother, she would be sad instead of angry. Why did she have the desire to kill? Feng Ruqing clenched her fists tightly. She asked, word by word, tell me. Is it true? Gu Zhenyang laughed out loud. That day, I hid outside the door and saw her gave birth to 2 children. You do have a younger brother. He's been born a few seconds later than you. Feng Ruqing clenched her fists tightly. Her breathing was quick abnormally. There was a great desire to kill in her and she was infuriated. Shao Qing. Qin Chen walked toward Feng Ruqing. He pulled her fingers open with much force. Her fingers were clenched tightly. There was blood oozing out from between her fingers when they were pulled upon. Her palms were badly mutilated. Qin Chen was worried for her. Shao Qing, what's wrong with you? Tell me. What's wrong with you? That kind of grief and anger did not arise because of the fact that she had realized the existence of a brother. But it seemed like something terrible had happened and she could destroy the world for that. Chapter 428, What a Delight. Nalan Yen is still alive. Feng Ruqing closed her eyes slowly. That girl seems to have gone and she had lost a son and daughter before. She was hurt. I wanted to secretly go and look at her before, but I was caught by Tang Si. He had even punished me for that. So, I was always curious as to what kind of woman could captivate Tang Luo like that. He had even driven her mad. What Tang Yin had said before came back to Feng Ruqing. There was also the weak image and messy hair of that woman in the back hill. Why? Feng Ruqing saw the woman in Tang Luo's embrace that day and her heartbeat quickened. But she did not venture to take a look at her. Because Feng Ruqing always thought that Nalan Yen had died and that she was the only daughter that Nalan Yen had. She did not dare to think too much. Feng Ruqing pursed her lips tightly. There was blood on her lips, but she seemed to be ignorant of that. The young girl's face was pale, it was almost as white as a sheet of paper. Her lips were stained red because of the blood. There was a bloody taste in her mouth and a desire to destroy the world in her. Her fury this time was so strong that it could destroy the whole world so that nothing would be left behind. Damn it! All the people in the Tang family deserve to die. Gu Jinyang looked at Feng Ruqing's facial expression. His heart shook and he quickly went toward her. Qin Chen and Feng Tianyu blocked Gu Jinyang from approaching Feng Ruqing, both on each of her sides. Get lost! Gu Jinyang was angry and he hit Qin Chen. Qin Chen endured that attack but he did not retreat. Feng Ruqing, tell me. Do you know where Yen'er is? Gu Jinyang looked at Feng Ruqing and asked her. Feng Ruqing recovered her senses and she finally smiled. That smile was captivating and dazzling. But there was a deep hatred and anger in her eyes which was frightening. It's none of your business where she is. I'll bring her back. I'll take revenge on those people who have harmed her. Feng Tianyu was stunned. He turned and looked at Feng Ruqing. Does Qing'er know where Yen'er is? Feng Tianyu's heart sank when he saw the hatred in Feng Ruqing's eyes. Yen'er has not returned for so many years. She did not even appear when Luyun Kingdom was under attack. She must be faced with danger. But all who hurt her deserve to die no matter who they are. Tell me where she is. Gu Jinyang seemed furious as he rushed toward Feng Ruqing again. There was a strong force coming down from the sky this time and Gu Jinyang was unable to approach Feng Ruqing. His body shook and he froze midair. Feng Ruqing was stunned too. She raised her head slowly. Soon, a familiar person entered her vision. That man was dressed in plain white clothes. He had a murderous look on his face. He looked at the man in front of him expressionlessly. He hit Gu Zenyang's chest with a great force with a stroke of his sleeve. Gu Jinyang was thrown out before he vomited a mouthful of blood. He wanted to make a retort ion but he soon saw the cold face in front of him when he raised his head. All the words were lost. It was like a broken ball and all of a sudden no more words were heard. State Preceptor. Feng Ruqing was still shocked and she could not believe that Nalan Yen was still alive. She raised her head and she saw the man who was beyond everyone's reach. There was a smile on her face. She felt shy as she rushed toward Nan Xian immediately without being bothered with Lu Rong trying to pull her back. State Preceptor Nan Xian, why are you so late? Feng Ruqing is bullying me. If you want to marry me, go and do something to Feng Ruqing first. If not, I'll be angry. If I'm angry, I'll never marry you even if you begged me. Her voice was all sweet and coy. She did not realize how Lu Rong's facial expression had darkened because of what she had done. Chapter 429, Go and fetch Nailan Yen from the Tang family. I Qing Zhu was speechless. It came out from behind Nan Xian. It was just about to greet Feng Ruqing, but it soon saw a shameless woman approaching them. Her eyes were sweet but clingy. It was disgusting. Nan Xian's attention was completely on Feng Ruqing's palm. It seemed that there was only the young girl's presence in this whole wide world. The noise around them was like mosquitoes and ants. He blocked the noise out and was not even hearing any of the noise. In the medium. The man got down. He walked fast. He covered a distance of 10 meters with every step he took. He soon came to stand in front of Feng Ruqing after taking a few steps. Feng Ruqing had a smug smile. She said dominantly, Feng Ruqing, your mother is a shameful vixen. She had taken Feng Tianyu away and she had even seduced my father. But, as her daughter, you're a loser to me. And what about your love for the state preceptor? There's only me in his heart. He would kill anybody for me. Lu Rong rushed toward Feng Ruqing just as Feng Ruqing opened her mouth. But, Feng Ruqing had already said what was not to be said. Lu Rong's face was pale. Feng Ruqing, stop talking now. Why can't I talk? Did you forget how Nailan Yen had treated you? Her daughter has lost to me. Shouldn't you be proud of that? Feng Ruqing, you don't know how deep State Preceptor Nan Xian's love for me is. If it is not for you, he wouldn't have kicked me out of the southern bamboo grove. He hates you so much that he hated me too. If it were not for you, I'd have been his wife by now. Lu Rong wanted to cover Feng Ruqing's mouth, but Feng Ruqing slapped her hand away. Feng Ruqing stared at Feng Ruqing angrily. Then, she looked at Nan Xian with a warning look. State Preceptor Nan Xian, I won't blame you for thinking that I'm just like Feng Ruqing then. It's because Feng Ruqing's actions were over the top. But, you need to kill her yourself. If not, I won't marry you even if you used a big sedan carried by 8 people. Lu Rong's body shook. Her lips were half opened and she seemed helpless. How could she confess that she had lied to Feng Ruqing the other day when everybody was present? She could not even utter those truths. At the wasteland. Nan Xian's eyes fell on Feng Ruqing's blood-stained palm. He frowned slightly as he gently held her hands. Who did this to you? Feng Ruqing was calmer when she saw Nan Xian. She replied, I accidentally hurt myself. Nan Xian used his long and slender fingers to wipe away the blood from the corner of the young girl's mouth softly. Then, who did this to you? Gu Zhenyang. Feng Ruqing was honest. He punched me once. Then, is his life enough? Feng Ruqing was silent. What? A punch. A life. The air was still. Feng Ruqing looked at the angelic man in shock. It seemed like her heart was being heavily punched. It felt heavy. No, it's not right. It shouldn't be like that. Nan Xian should have killed Feng Ruqing by now. Why is his voice so gentle? I've never seen him like that before. Mother, didn't you tell me that the state preceptor likes me? What's happening between him and Feng Ruqing? Tell me. Feng Ruqing's eyes that were filled with pain turned toward Lu Rong. She demanded an answer from Lu Rong. Lu Rong's facial expression changed. This girl has finally blurted it out. Chapter 430, Go and fetch Nailan Yen from the Tang family too. However, Feng Tianyu coughed out loud before Lu Rong could answer Feng Ruqing. He was not coughing out blood but just to remind Nan Xian to let go of his hand. Nan Xian ignored Feng Tianyu and continued to put Feng Ruqing's palm in his hand. Feng Tianyu somehow looked annoyed. He likes the state preceptor, but his fondness was only limited to the state preceptor taking Feng Ruqing as his disciple. Back then, he was reluctant for Feng Ruqing to marry Lu Yuchen, but he was forced to agree on the marriage when his daughter threatened to kill herself. Now, his daughter was finally divorced, and it was only natural for him to be reluctant for her daughter to be married to someone again. Son-in-law and father-in-law are always enemies. State Preceptor, Feng Tian finally tried to remind him. You may let go of your hand now. Nan Xian finally turned to look at Feng Tianyu. He slightly frowned and asked, Who hurt you? Feng Tianyu honestly answered to Nan Xian in surprise. Gu Zhenyang. 2 punches, 2 lives. Feng Tianyu was speechless. Wait, that's not the problem now. State Preceptor, can you let go of your hand first? When will you stop holding her? Nan Xian. Feng Rishuang rushed in front of Nan Xian before she could wait for Lu Rong's response. She asked furiously. Tell me, what's your relationship with Feng Ruqing? Nan Xian looked coldly at Feng Rishuang as if he was thinking about something. However, he still could not come up with an idea after a while. So, he blurted out and called, Xiao Qing. Master, I'm Xiao Qing. Qing Zhu's little head popped out as it protested weakly. Xiao Qing, who is she? Feng Rishuang said nothing. Master, she's Feng Rishuang. Qing Zhu grudgingly humped, twice. You have asked me the same questions twice, do you really have a memory of 7 seconds? You asked me who she was just now and you have forgotten now. Feng Rishuang almost stopped breathing. Her delicate face was red with anger. State Preceptor, how could you be so heartless? Are you deliberately trying to distance yourself from me? Is it because of Feng Ruqing? Did you fall for her because she has turned pretty now? You came to send me off that day before I was sent to the barracks in Borders. Nan Xian coldly replied, Oh, Qing'er doesn't like Xiao Qing so I threw it away that day. Feng Ruqing was stunned. When did she hate Qing Zhu? How could she not know? Perhaps only Qing Zhu knew what was going on. Its master was envious of it when Feng Ruqing said she wanted to give birth to a nest of little snaky. So, he got so envious and wanted to abandon it without caring for its feelings. But then you still watched me leaving. Feng Rishuang bit her lip. Her eyes were red. It was true that the state preceptor liked her, or else, why would he feel reluctant to send her off? Yup, it was because Xiao Qing told me that Qing'er would be happy if I killed you. Nan Xian still spoke with a light voice, but his voice could easily send chills down a person's spine. But Qing'er told me not to meddle in her affairs, so I was thinking to teach you a lesson that time. It wasn't considered as murder, is it? The man's words were just like a pot of cold water that was poured onto Feng Rushuang's heart, soaking it in coldness. Before that, no matter how many times she lost to Feng Ruqing, she still did not feel hopeless. It was because she had always believed that the state preceptor loved her. Or else she could never have been able to bear to live through the sufferings and nightmarish life back in the Baroque. She even had sneaked out just to come to see him. Why would she get such an ending? No, that's not it. Feng Rushuang's eyes were filled with agony. Nan Xian, I've loved you for so many years. Why would you treat me like this? Chapter 431, Go and fetch Nailan Yen from the Tang family. Qing Zhu glanced pitifully at Feng Rishuang and started to gloat over her situation. Usually, its master did not like to talk much with people. He spoke so much to stop Feng Rishuang from explaining because he did not want Feng Ruqing to misunderstand him. Or else, usually, when he was dealing with things, he would be too lazy to explain even if others misunderstood him. He would simply punch them right away. The reason why he talked so much nonsense was that he wanted to let Feng Ruqing hear about it. However, Feng Rishuang was so stupid that she thought its master would have a crush on her just because he shot her another glance. He was only thinking about how to avenge Feng Ruching by hurting her. What an idiot. Master, Qing Zhu continued, stealthily, Feng Rishuang has already been talking in such a shameless way when we arrived. Why don't you punch her directly instead of wasting time? Nan Xian frowned as he looked slightly confused. Did she say something, just now? Qing Zhu was speechless. It was angry. Then, it turned its snake head toward Feng Ruching. Princess, don't you feel angry? How dare Feng Rishuang flirt with master in such a sick way? Feng Ruching seemed shocked. She paused for a while and asked in embarrassment, what did Feng Rishuang say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Qing Zhu was speechless again. Why did it feel like it was stuffed with dog food one? Both of their eyes were only filled with each other. Feng Rishuang was alive, and her voice was loud too. How could she be totally ignored? Feng Rishuang had the same thought as the snake too. Her heart hurt as her eyes were burning with anger. Nan Xian, I'm not Feng Tianyu's daughter. My father is the young master from the Divine Herbs sect. You have to marry me, or else he'll get someone to destroy Lu Yun Kingdom. Lu Rong's heart jolted as she seemed to panic. Had Feng Rishuang not seen how Nan Xian had defeated young Master Zhenyang with just a touch? Of course, it was not only Lu Rong who wanted to strangle her daughter to death, even young Master Zhenyang intended to kill her immediately. Feng Rishuang, keep your mouth and shut. Gu Zhenyang crawled up from the ground and laid a hand on his chest. He coughed twice and turned to look at Nan Xian. Young Master Nan Xian, the state preceptor of Lu Yun Kingdom, is you as well? He had been keeping an eye on Lu Yun Kingdom all these years, but he could only keep watch on Feng Tianyu and others. Besides, he could only watch discreetly from behind and never step inside the southern bamboo forest too. So, he never got a chance to see Nan Xian. Nan was a rare surname. It was not a surname that did not exist in the mainland. However, the mainland was such a big land with billions of people. There were quite a number of people with the same surname and given name. Also, adding up to the fact that Nan Xian, who was already outstanding, also came from the Mu family of Tianshan Manor, a family that was mighty and powerful, so Gu Zhenyang would never have thought that a person as noble as young Master Nan Xian would come to Lu Yun Kingdom just to be a little state preceptor. Nan Xian looked down at Gu Zhenyang with his cold eyes condescendingly. That force was too strong and it rendered Gu Zhenyang immobile. His body was so stiff that even lifting his head was extremely hard also. However, he did not want to show any sign of weakness in front of Feng Tianyu. He forced himself to lift his head, gritted his teeth, and looked back arrogantly. Feng Rishuang's eyes widened in astonishment as if she was struck by lightning. In her eyes, Gu Zhenyang was a noble and arrogant young master of the Divine Herbs sect. How could he show the white feather to Nan Xian? The Divine Herbs sect, which was tied up with Tianshan Manor and Deity's Gateway at the same status and position. Wasn't that one of the most powerful places in the mainland? But then, the arrogant young master of the Divine Herbs sect was being suppressed by Nan Xian. Feng Rishuang's body turned limp as she collapsed to the ground. She glared jealously at Feng Ruching as she felt very uncomfortable. It felt as if ants were chewing at her heart. Chapter 432. Go and fetch Nailan Yen from the Tang family, for she could not accept it. She could not accept the fact that she lost to Feng Ruching. A mink such as Feng Ruching should not be alive. No. Seeing Nan Xian walking toward Zhenyang, Zhen Qing came to her senses and quickly rushed toward Feng Ruching. She knew she was no match for Nan Xian, so she had to buy some time for Gu Zhenyang to leave. With a violent force, she fully vented her feelings with a violent outburst. At that moment, her voice was no longer disguised. She sounded pale, husky, and low. Young Master Xinjiang, go, quick. Gu Xinjiang was stunned. He looked at Jin Qing's resolute face and turned away, escaping into the sky. Nan Xian did not bother with him. He landed in front of Feng Ruqing and pulled her into his arms. He lightly tapped Jin Qing's forehead with his fingers. The self-destruction force suddenly vanished. A hole appeared, piercing right through Jin Qing's forehead. Her eyes widened as she collapsed to the ground, beating up dust around her. Feng Ruqing blinked and said, well, I'm not afraid of other person's self-destruction. If worse came to worst, she would absorb the forces into the medium. Yeep. Nan Xian looked calm. But I won't let it happen if she wanted to kill you. For Gu Xinjiang, Nan Xian coldly stared in the direction where Gu Xinjiang had left. The monk can run away, but the temple remains. When it seemed that he had to visit the Divine Herbs sect, he owes you 2 lives. Nan Xian paused and glanced at Qin Qin. 3 lives, I will get it back for you in a few days. Also, Eunuch Lin and grandfather had been injured. Oh, and this battle, in Luyun Kingdom, a lot of people have died. Feng Ruqing's heart sank slightly. Gu Xinjiang was the one behind all these, he could not get away from this war. Therefore, he owed not only 3 lives. Okay, I will get it all back for you. The man still sounded calm. However, anyone could tell from his voice that he was pampering her. Whatever you want, I will give it all to you. Even if it were others' lives. Nan Xian was not being anxious about Gu Zhenyang's escape. Compared to killing Gu Xinjiang, the more important thing was Feng Ruqing and Feng Tianyu. I've brought you the phoenix's tears that you have requested. He swung his hand, and a porcelain bottle dropped into his palm. He held Feng Ruqing's hand and gently put it on her hands. Feng Ruqing's heart skipped a beat. We have every spirit herbs, and the phoenix's tears now. I can finally cure my father. She suddenly paused and turned around to look at Lu Rong and her daughter, coldly. Chainer, help me to bring them, to my grandfather. The wrath of the world could not be appeased with only a Lu Yunshao, the whole Lu family has to pay it back. Lu Rong's body turned limp as she fell to the ground. She knew what her father had done. If she and her family were to be thrown to the crowd's disposal as a way to appease the world, they would be in a situation that would be worse than death. No, Feng Tianyu, after all, the feelings between wife and husband would last forever. Although we never had any intimate contact before, I'm still your concubine, you can't treat me this way. Lu Rong panicked. She crawled in front of Feng Tianyu with tears streaming down her face. Feng Tianyu looked cold and replied fiercely, the crime that the Lu family had committed must be paid with fresh blood. All the heroes from the world are all waiting for your family's blood to be nourished. Eunuch Lin, please announce my decree. I proclaim that every member of the Lu family who is involved in this battle must be killed. Eunuch Lin's chest was still aching. His face was slightly contorted as his whole body was shaking and trembling. Chapter 433. Go and fetch Nailan Yen at the Tang family. Feng Tianyu sighed and said, announce the decree when you've recovered, it's not urgent. Eunuch Lin took a punch for him just now, he would not allow him to run any errands for him no matter what. Eunuch Lin. Feng Ruqing slowly walked to Eunuch Lin. She looked at him sincerely and said, I have some herbal dishes here, you can drink it to help relieve your injury. Also, thank you for protecting my father. Eunuch Lim lowered his head, embarrassed. I didn't manage to protect His Majesty, it was your Highness and the State Preceptor who had saved His Majesty. No, it's enough that you're faithful. We of Luyun Kingdom will never mistreat any loyal courtiers. Then, she turned to look at Feng Lan. Thanks for your help too. I will always bear this in mind. Feng Lan wanted to put in a good word for her house's young master, but she sighed after watching Nan Xian, who was standing next to Feng Ruqing. No matter what he feels for Feng Ruqing Princess, he has no chance at all. Father. Feng Ruqing held Feng Tianyu's hand and said, I have already found a way to cure you of poison. We will go and fetch her after the poison is cured. Feng Tianyu grasped onto Feng Ruqing's arms as his breathing became labored. Do you really know where she is? Feng Ruqing nodded. Is she doing well? He did not ask any other questions besides Nailan Yan's situation. Also, he never asked if she was still in love with him. All he wanted to know was if she was still doing okay. She's not fine, and she really wanted to come home. Therefore, father, you have to recover in time so we can fetch her back together. Tang Yin mentioned before that she would never leave, not even a step, from the back hill. However, she had walked down from the hill that day. How much did she miss home to have made such a move? And she did not realize that she was Nailan Yan. As soon as she thought of Nailan Yan staring at her and Tang Yin turning away and leaving her behind, Feng Ruqing's heart hurt as the pain spread inside her heart. She hit her chest with her palm. Shao Qing. Qin Chen pulled off her fingers and said, no matter what, you must not hurt yourself again. Feng Ruqing slowly took a deep breath as a smile lit up her beautiful face. I was a bit emotional just now. Did I scare you? Her voice was too soft. Not to mention the others, even Nan Xian had never seen this side of her before. With a light that was hard to notice flashing in Nan Xian's eyes, he calmly looked at Qin Chen. Feng Ruqing, you're such a bitch who can marry just any guys. You're just like your mother, you flirt and seduce others even you are attached to a guy, Feng Ruquang screeched in outrage. Feng Ruqing stopped walking abruptly. I'm going to bring my mother back. I will make everyone from the Tang family regret the things they have done. In the Lu family's inner court, Lu Yuchen gradually woke up and rubbed his temples. He opened his eyes to the worried look on the woman's face next to him. Suddenly, Lu Yuchen quivered and got up from his bed. His face was resolute. Mother, don't stand in my way anymore. I'm usually timid but I can't bear to see the kingdom fall apart. Lady Lu was shocked. She quickly shouted to stop Lu Yuchen. Yuchen, why are you going there? The war has ended. The war has ended. Lu Yuchen stopped walking and slowly turned his head around. His handsome face was pale as he asked, stressing on each word, what did you say? Chapter 435. Go and fetch Nailan Yan from the Tang family. 7. The war has ended, you don't have to go, Lady Lu frowned and said. Really, ended? Lu Yuchen gently pursed his lips and closed his eyes, as if in agony. Still, father has betrayed the country. Luoyuan kingdom stood no chance of winning. Since the war had ended, the final outcome was obvious. But the Lu family was still fine there. Did that not imply that his father had surrendered himself to the other kingdoms? What nonsense are you talking about? Feng Ruqing has returned. And I have also heard that she has brought back a violent little girl who had killed all the powerhouses from the 4 kingdoms. Lady Lu kept going. Think about it, if you didn't divorce Feng Ruqing back then, she wouldn't have been so heartless to us. You'll have to seize the opportunity in the future and make yourself the emperor's son-in-law. Lu Yuchen's ears buzzed. He could not hear any of the words. The sentence kept on echoing in his mind. Feng Ruqing has returned, the war has ended. The girl whom he had loathed before had unknowingly grown into a person of another level. Lu Yuchen walked out anyway. Yuchen, where are you going? Are you looking for that woman, Tan Shuangshuang? You are not allowed to go. Lady Lu became anxious and ran after Lu Yuchen to stop him. Lu Yuchen laughed out loud twice with his sleeves swaying along with the breeze. The Lu family has still betrayed the kingdom. Ha ha ha, and I, Lu Yuchen, have become the son of a criminal. What qualifications do I have, and how am I qualified to marry her again? Regardless of the fact that if the Lu family had or had not betrayed the kingdom, his father did really possess such an intention before. Feng Tianyu was not stupid. He could tell from that war, and the Lu family would still be a past tense eventually. No matter how Lady Lu cried and screamed, Lu Yuchen did not stop walking. That floating figure vanished in the dark night, completely gone. General Manor was in chaos. Naylan Hu was standing in the dark of the night. His old face was dark as his eyes were filled with unquenchable fury. Lu Yunxiao had died. He died in a cruel way. His body was not left with even a piece of skin intact. Not only did the enraged crowd cut him with swords, but they had also used hammers to hit him and even opened their mouths to bite him. One Naylan who had destroyed Lu Yunxiao's ability and strength before that. Therefore, Lu Yunxiao could not fight back the crowd's anger after that. Also, he was a man with rough and thick flesh, but then the crowd still bit a large piece of flesh off of him. It was obvious that the crowd was really mad. However, Lu Yunxiao's death still did not appease the anger inside his heart. He was still angry with the four kingdoms from the mainland, and also, the powerhouse who was behind all these. How's the palace now? He asked in a deep voice. The three great families were standing behind Naylan Hu. They were quietly staring at the old man's back, which seemed like quite a lonely figure. The palace is safe and sound now. Also, Lu Rong and Feng Rishuang have been sent here. I plan to push them into the street right away, so they could be tortured to appease the crowd's anger, Qin Feiyang sighed and said. Naylan Hu's face finally looked a little better. Then, he turned to look at another old man and said, Yup, that's quite a good way. Wei Fang, Ear has told me what had happened before. You should really take a look and manage your family well. Don't let them ruin your whole brilliant life. Wei Fang seemed to have grown a dozen years older at that moment. His back was crooked, and he could never look glorious like a teenager again. Old General, I understand. He slowly closed his eyes. Then, he suddenly opened them, flashing with a firm and resolute light. Back then, he had suffered so many difficulties and pains, but he had never thought of betraying the kingdom. Chapter 436. Go and fetch Naylan Yan from the Tang family 8 because he understood that even if he died within the enemy's barracks, the old general, and other people from the Luyun kingdom would avenge him. So what was the big deal dying? He had been faithful for his whole life. However, his son, not only did he betray the kingdom, but he also scolded his father in front of the crowd in order to survive. Such a man was not qualified to become the Wei family's son. Wei Fang. Qin Feiyang frowned discontentedly. Tell me, why did you get a concubine back then? We were charging forward, but those women were messing around in the back. It's better to have only one wife, simple and nice. Wei Fang lowered his head in shame. Indeed, it's my fault regarding this matter. I shouldn't have listened to mother in getting a concubine. Qin Feiyang could not bear saying anything more while looking at his reaction. He tapped on his shoulder and said, You don't need to listen to every senior. Look at that 80-something old lady in your house, who didn't enjoy her life with her family but was making a fuss every day. Now, you should take this as a lesson and take good care of your own backyard one. He paused for a while before continued. We, of three great families, follow the pace of the old general. If our family's reputation is tarnished, the old general will be disgraced with us as well. Wei Fang could ignore all the other things, but the thing he cared for most was the old general. The admiration he experienced for the old general during his youth was enough to influence his whole life, as he had decided to follow in the old general's footsteps for the rest of his life, without any hesitation. Old general, don't worry. I will expel them from the family once I'm back. Wei Fang had turned totally heartless now. From now on, Wei Xiang and Wei Mingjie will not be members of the Wei family anymore. If the old lady wishes to live her late life peacefully, I will take care of her until she passes away. If she doesn't, I will send her to Qiu Shan Second Courtyard 1 and never let her return to the imperial city anymore. Qin Feiyang smirked. No, your house old lady won't sit back. I think it's better off sending her away, just in case she brings more trouble to you. Wei Fang sighed deeply. He knew that all that Qin Feiyang had mentioned was the truth. If that's the case, I can only send her away. Even if she was sent to Qiu Shan's second courtyard, the condition over there is only a little poorer, and she will not be badly treated. All of this is better than letting her make trouble in the imperial city. After all those years, he should give Pinyao an explanation. Wei Fang, back then. I tried to stop you when you were getting a new concubine, but then your mom was crying, screaming, and threatening me with death. Also, you're a filial son, and I decided to not butt in on your private business anymore. Nalan Hu spoke up as well. He never sounded that solemn before. However, today, you reap what you have sowed. Why should he suddenly take a concubine? Yes, he had a son with her then, but the son had disgraced him. Did he not ask for it? The Nalan family held on to the principle of getting only one wife, and Qin Feiyang was influenced by that principle too. He never had any concubine before. However, that Wei Fang was too obedient. If someone is over-obedient, then that makes them stupid. Therefore, don't let the people of the Wei family tarnish your family's reputation. Nalan Hu said coldly. Yi is from the Qin family, and Pinyao is her sister-in-law. Therefore, I, Nalan Hu, will not stand idly by on this matter. You have to give us an explanation. Qin Feiyang sneered. I don't care how Wei Mingjie is behaving in the Wei family. Pinyao is my daughter-in-law, and I will not tolerate anyone who bullies her. Tomorrow, I will go to your Wei family and watch you expel them from your house. Wei Fang's heart jolted. They had been comrades for so many years, after all. So, to what extent were these people not trusting in him? But then, the toxic had inhibited the spiritual power, causing his body to not be able to absorb that spiritual power well. So, Feng Ruqing paused for a while. I've made use of this opportunity to let the spiritual power smoothly reach into his abdomen when I was unclogging father's tendons and vessels when removing the poison from his body. However, she did not mention that she had added a few drops of spirit water into the spirit herb dishes. By doing so, she could double the effect of the spirit herb dishes and help him break through all the barriers in one shot. The only thing was that they did not know how far he could break through. At least, it should also be advanced spirit warrior tier. The door of the chamber opened slowly. In the morning sunlight, an impressive, bright yellow figure came to Feng Ruqing's vision. The man had grown from his usual weak state to his current high-spirited and powerful self. He looked as if he was the ruler of the world. Staring at Feng Tianyu's overwhelming vigor, Feng Ruqing finally relaxed. Congratulations, father. One shot to Dark Warrior tier. Dark Warrior tier. Eunuch Lin was shocked. Master, I'm helping you, how can you bully me? I want to run away from home and never ever come back. Without responding, Qin Chen was still quietly standing beside Feng Ruqing. He seemed to be at ease as long as she was beside him. Father, let's go. I've informed Xiao Yin just now. She should be waiting for us by now. Feng Ruching closed her eyes. There was a storm that could not be hidden in her eyes. At the back hill of the Tang family, in the wooden hut, Rong Yan lay on the wooden bed. Her eyes were blank as she stared at the ceiling, blood oozed from her chapped lips, and her face was as pale as paper. She was so skinny that her figure was out of shape. She was not as pretty as she was in her younger days anymore. Tang Luo could not believe that Rong Yan had turned out this way when he did not visit the back hill for only several days. Looking at the girl he loved in such a pitiful condition, his trembling hand reached out and caressed the girl's pale face. His eyes were filled with pain. "Yue, what happened to Yenner?" Tang Yu was pretending not to look indifferent and said, "Father, I've listened to your words and have taken good care of Aunt Rong. But Aunt Rong, she doesn't want to stay at the Tang family and has gone on a hunger strike to force me into the corner. She has not been drinking water for the past few days and has become dehydrated by doing so." Chapter 439, Going to the Tang family again. Tang Luo's heart suddenly sank. The force he had applied with his finger had caused his nail to accidentally make Rong Yan's face red. He panicked and quickly said, "Yenner, I didn't mean it." Rong Yan stared at the roof blankly without even glancing at Tang Luo at all. Her eyes were hollow. Tang Luo became more anxious. Did he do anything wrong when he just wanted to make her stay? "Yenner, I know you feel hate, but you would understand that I'm doing this out of love in the future." Tang Luo crawled up from the bed and looked resolute. "Yue, if she doesn't want to eat, you force her to eat. We must not let her die." Tang Yu gently smiled and replied, "Father, don't worry. I won't let Aunt Rong die since I like her so much." Tang Luo sighed as soon as he heard Tang Ye's words. In recent days, there were too many affairs to settle in the Tang family. Therefore, he could hardly come and accompany Rong Yan all the time. Luckily Yue was there. At least Yenner would not feel so lonely with Yue being by her side. "Yenner, I know you couldn't let go of them until now. However, time will heal and you will be able to put the past behind. Impatient enough to wait for you. If 10 years is not enough, I can wait for 100 years. If I cannot get you in this life, then I will wait until my next life. I won't let go of you, no matter what." The only thing that bothered him in his life was meeting her. However, he loved her so much that he could not free himself from it. Tang Luo took a last glance at Rong Yan and slowly walked out of the wooden hut. Tang Ye's smile disappeared as soon as Tang Luo left. She raised the water glass beside her and swung it back and forth in front of Rong Yan. The corners of her lips were turned up into a contemptuous and sarcastic smile. "Rong Yan, you want a drink? I can give you a sip, but you have to give me all of your storage bags." Violet Milvus Bloom. Any taker would be dead from dehydration no matter how much water was taken to make up for the loss of water. However, any taker would madly desire to drink when the taker was fed with the Violet Milvus Bloom. Therefore, it was not Rong Yan who went on a hunger strike. It was Tang Yu who had intentionally refused to give her even a grain of rice or a sip of water. Rong Yan did not respond. She stared at the ceiling blankly with her hollow eyes, as if she could hear nothing from her surroundings anymore. "Rong Yan, I will come back to see you a few days later since you're so stubborn. You're going to die in the end. Soon, the storage bag will lose its owner, and I will naturally become its new owner by making it my own." Tang Yu sneered and smashed the glass of water onto the floor. Then, she turned around and left. As soon as she left, Rong Yan's eyes slowly recovered from the blankness. She looked calm, solemn, and cold. Outside the city gate of Luyun Kingdom, all the corpses were buried after the battle, leaving only the dry blood to remind the world of that battle. Feng Lan was already standing at the city gate, waiting for Feng Ruching. She saw the eye-catching young girl standing among the crowd. Her eyes flashed as she paced forward. "Master Feng, I've brought you the people you requested." Feng Ruqing looked at the crowd standing behind Feng Lan. 20 spirit warriors and 3 dark warriors, that was the ultimate power from all that the surrounding paramounts possessed. "Qing'er," Nan Xian's gentle voice chimed beside Feng Ruqing. "I might be a little late to fetch you from the Tang family." Feng Ruqing blinked and turned to look at that divine man. The man was the most handsome man in the world as he looked indifferent and elegant. The corner of his lips was vaguely lifted into an arch, as his eyes reflected the figure of the young woman. "I'm going somewhere else first." Chapter 440, Going to the Tang family again to the Divine Herbs sect. Gu Zhenyang, since they were fetching the Empress back, every matter deserved an explanation. Therefore, Nan Xian had planned early on to part with Feng Ruqing after sending her to the city gate. Then, he would bring Gu Zhenyang out of the Divine Herbs sect and go back to the Tang family to fetch her. Feng Ruqing paused and nodded. "Okay, I'll wait for you there, after I fetch my mother." Well, Nan Xian held Feng Ruqing's hand and put a feather into her hand. "When you reach the Tang family, do not dirty your hands by fighting on your own. Light the feather up with fire, and someone will be cleaning the rubbish for you." Feng Ruqing said nothing. "Are you sure this feather has such an effect?" No matter what, she liked it as long as it was something from Nan Xian. "Also, take the jade pendant with you, and do not take it off, no matter what or when," Nan Xian urged seriously. He would only be assured to see Feng Ruqing heading alone to the Tang family, when she had not only the white phoenix's feather, but also that jade pendant. "Okay." Feng Ruqing nodded. Those were the love tokens that the state preceptor had given to her, she would never lose them. "Wait for me to come. I'll be there for you soon." Nan Xian gently smiled and looked at Qin Chen by accident. Qin Chen lifted his eyes and looked back at him too. His eyes were pure with resoluteness. Both of their eyes met and something happened. It was as if eyes were about to melt into one, like there was a bolt of lightning flashing between their eyes. Feng Ruqing's face was darkened. These two guys, one was the guy whom she wanted to sleep with, another one was her brother in her previous life. It could not be that they have fallen for each other, could it? Ahem. Feng Tianyu could not bear to look on any more, so he cleared his throat twice. He said solemnly, "State Preceptor, when will you stop holding Qing'er hands? It's time to leave, and you should loosen your hand too." "Okay," Nan Xiang softly replied, but he was still holding her hand. But he felt he should respect Feng Tianyu. Therefore, he let go of Feng Ruqing's hand eventually, then he switched to another hand and held her wrist. Feng Ruqing remained silent. "What's the difference?" "Father, let's go." Feng Ruqing turned forward. Her eyes were cold. "Mother is still waiting for us." The Tang family, she gently closed her eyes. When she opened it, her eyes were filled with murderous intent. "Little lady," Qian Ning nudged Tang Yin and asked weakly, "I think the princess is quite scary now, as the Tang family has done something to offend her. Shall we first talk to Elder Tang Yi and persuade him?" Tang Yin was not responding even though she had been nudging her for half a day. Qian Ning turned around and was shocked to see that Tang Yin was violently biting her sleeves. She was gawking at Nan Xian's hand, the hand which was holding Feng Ruqing. "Coquette, coquette. Humph, Nan Xian is a coquette." Xiao Qing stopped liking her as soon as he had appeared and swept Xiao Qing off of her feet. "Little lady," Qian Ning nudged Tang Yin again and stomped her feet in anger. "I'm talking about the Tang family's matters. Do you want to first persuade and talk to Elder Tang Yi and Tang Er? I think they are quite nice people," Tang Yin was stunned and turned around to look at Qian Ning with her confused eyes. Were you talking to me? Qian Ning was speechless. Qian Ning felt pitiful, and she almost cried. How could her little lady be this kind of a little lady? Tang Yin turned to fix her eyes on Nan Xian's hand since Qian Ning was silent. If her eyes were blades, Nan Xian's hand would have already been cut into thousands of pieces. Chapter 441, Going to the Tang Family Again 3 Within the Divine Herbs Sect. In the palace, Gu Zhenyang suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the guard standing at the inferior side of the palace. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Tell me, how's Luyun Kingdom doing recently? Feng Ruqing must be aware of Yenner location. Therefore, she will find Yenner because she knows she's still alive. Young master, I've heard that Feng Ruqing has brought away all the people from Paramount. Therefore, I went to Paramount, and I heard Feng Ruqing is headed to the Tang family after gathering all these people to go with her. The Tang family, which Tang family? Gu Zhenyang frowned and coldly asked. The Tang family of Yu City. The families in Yu City was only an existence that was not in consideration of the reclusive world. Gu Zhenyang would never believe if someone said Neilan Yan was in the Tang family. Neilan Yan loved Feng Tianyu so much. She would not have abandoned Feng Tianyu and hid in the Tang family for so many years. Also, with Neilan Yan's talent, she should have been able to enter the reclusive world after 10 years. Why would she stay in such a weak Tang family? They're really going to the Tang family. Gu Zhenyang clenched his fists tightly. Neilan Yan doesn't like Feng Tianyu anymore. Impossible. She still refused me when I was coercing her back then. How could she easily fall for another person? There were only 2 reasons Neilan Yan would be staying in the Tang family for so many years. Firstly, there was someone that she could not bear to leave in the Tang family. However, the people she loved the most were her husband and children. Who else was worthy enough to make her stay in that family for 10 years? Secondly, someone in the Tang family was forcing her to stay using some kind of method. However, it was impossible to make Neilan Yan stay when dealing with her temper. He could not even force her to stay back then, and how could the Tang family make that happen on their own? That was even more impossible. Gu Zhenyang's face was pale. He slowly closed his eyes. 10 years before, even though he could not find Neilan Yan, he still got some clues and traces of her. Unfortunately, the daughter of the 5th elder had found that out too. That girl had always fancied him. But because his heart was fully occupied by Neilan Yan, her love begot hatred as she tried to look for Neilan Yan with the clues he had. In the end, she really did bump into Neilan Yan. She asked the powerhouses from the sect to deal with Neilan Yan. When he finally found Neilan Yan was already severely injured and had escaped. After that, no matter how hard he tried to find her, he could not find any of her traces anymore. But he knew it well that Neilan Yan was still alive. The girl who was absolutely beautiful and talented, she could not be dead, and she would never be. Gu Zhenyang abruptly opened his eyes as his fists were cracking with sound. The Tang family. It must be that day where the Tang family had taken the advantage to imprison Neilan Yan when everyone was still in trouble. However, there was one thing that he could not understand. Even though Yenner was hurt back then, that was a matter of 10 years ago. 10 years, she should have recovered from the damage. How could such a weak Tang family be capable of caging her? Someone bring me the handicapped whom I have found on the road to me now. When he left Luyun Kingdom, he found a man who was crawling weakly outside the city gate. The man had lost both of his legs. Nobody cared, and he could only stew in his own juice. But he knew this man was with Feng Ruquang, and his name was Tang Shan. To get more information, he had brought him back so he could interrogate him with torture. Thinking about it again, this Tang Shan, must be a person from the Tang family. A disciple dragged Tang Shan in and threw him in front of Gu Zhenyang. Tang Shan almost fainted in shock. Tang Shan thought that he was finally saved when he ran into this guy. A guy who he thought was kind-hearted when that guy had brought him back, seeing him suffering in a pitiful situation. Chapter 442, Going to the Tang family again. However, when Tang Shan reached the Divine Herbs sect, not only was he not treated like he had expected, but he was also put into a dungeon. He had not taken a sip of water or taken a bite of food since then. Now, he knew that Gu Zhenyang had a motive for bringing him back to the Divine Herbs sect. Shen. Young Master Zhenyang. Tang Shan swallowed hard as he raised his head to look at the young master before him. The Tang family of Yu City. Gu Zhenyang looked down at Tang Shan, the corner of his lips curved into a sneer. Yi. Yes. Tang Shan's voice was trembling. Is there a lady named Nailin Yan in the Tang family? Nailin Yan. Isn't she the empress of the Luyun kingdom? Why would she be in the Tang family? Young Master Zhenyang, you must be mistaken. Hasn't the empress of the Luyun kingdom died? Tang Shan answered fearfully. Pfft. It seems like you don't want to tell the truth, do you? Nailin Yan did not die. I made up a story back then. Now that Feng Tianyu and Feng Ruqing are rushing to the Tang family, you are actually telling me that Nailin Yan is not in the Tang family? Gu Zhenyang merely snorted. It's true that Nailin Yan is not in the Tang family, Tang Shan said with a long face. Oh yeah, I overheard the conversation between Tang Wu and Master. Suddenly, Tang Shan said, as if something had just come to his mind. What was it about? Gu Zhenyang's face darkened a few shades. Master had brought a lady back to the manor 10 years ago. Her name is Rong Yan. He wanted to marry the lady. However, Tang Si did not agree as no one had a full grasp of the lattice background. Moreover, the lady had gone insane. Master told Tang Si that Rong Yan had lost her senses as her husband and kids were killed. She had even lost her memory because of this. She could not even recall who she was. She only knows that she had 2 kids. Feeling the atmosphere growing increasingly tense, Tang Shan wanted to stop, but he bit the bullet and continued. As Rong Yan did not want to marry the master, he has finally given up and put her in a wooden hut on the back hill. Since this may ruin the reputation of the Tang family, no one in the Tang family was aware of this except the elders. Gu Zhenyang clenched his fist tightly, then dealt a blow at Tang Shan's chest, sending him flying out the hall. Tang Shan looked up at Gu Zhenyang, who was blazing with rage. He spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was ghastly pale. Take him out and beat him to death. Gu Zhenyang swung his sleeve as he said with a cold face. No. Young Master Zhenyang. Please spare my life. I don't want to die. Stunned, Tang Shan held tightly onto the door frame as he said. At this moment, 2 subordinates walked up to Tang Shan and dragged him out. His voice gradually drifted away and died out. Ah Mu, how many subordinates do I have? Gu Zhenyang looked at the only subordinate in the hall as he asked in a low voice. Young master, you have 500 of disciples, 100 guards, and 20 guardians, Ah Mu answered respectfully. Not only was Gu Zhenyang the last disciple of the elder, but he was also a rare talent. Hence, he had commanded great respect in the Divine Herbs sect. Get some masters from my master. I am bringing everyone with me to the Tang family. I am going to massacre the entire Tang family. All of them must die. Gu Zhenyang lowered his eyes. A hint of cruelty flashed in his eyes. He had killed countless lives with his hands. Humans were nothing but a bunch of ants. Chapter 443, Going to the Tang family again. Gu Zhenyang had taken countless innocent lives. He would not hesitate to hurt anyone, but he had never hurt Nailan Yen before, not even the slightest bit. Back then, when he had forced Nailan Yen to stay at the Divine Herbs sect, he could actually lock her up, tie her up, or even make her lose her memory. But he had never done those things, as he knew that Nailan Yen would be no different from a puppet if he did these. He liked her gesture, her smile, her wit, her domineering demeanor, and not a canary locked in a cage. He could not bear to hurt her even the slightest bit, but the people of the Tang family had actually done this to Nailan Yen. As the saying goes, every herb has its side effects. The herb could make her lose her memory, and it would definitely cause side effects to her body. Gu Zhenyang clenched his fists, his body shook violently. He felt as if a sword had pierced right into his heart and blood was dripping from the wound. It was that lady. Had it not been for the lady who knew that Gu Zhenyang was looking for Nailan Yen, the people of the Tang family could never have taken advantage of Nailan Yen, and she would not have to suffer her current condition. The Tang family must die. That lady too must die. Young master, you want to wipe out the entire Tang family? Ah, Mu asked in bewilderment. What's wrong with that? The Tang family belongs to the reclusive world, not the secular world. The people of the reclusive would not care about this. Get moving. Gu Zhenyang sneered. At your command, young master, Mu bowed as he answered respectfully. It was calm and peaceful in the Tang family. Boom! Suddenly, a loud bang was heard. A sword light could be seen descending from the sky and breaking the rock-hard gate into two parts. Everyone in the Tang family was struck dumb from shock. Tang Luo was the first one to run out from inside. All the elders rushed right after him. They rushed to the gate only to see Feng Ruqing standing loftily at the gate. Seeing this, they could do nothing but sigh helplessly. Why is she here? No one in the Tang family has offended her recently. Just as Tang Yi wanted to say something, he saw the maiden behind Feng Ruqing. His body immediately stiffened. He felt as if his head was going to explode. Zir. Tang Yi's eyes were flooded with tears as his body shook violently. He wanted to walk up to Tang Zi, but he dared not do so. He seemed rather flustered. After all, it was his fault for not taking care of his only disciple properly. Tang Zi pursed her lips together. It had been 20 years since she had met Tang Yi. Naturally, she could no longer remain nonchalant. When the people of the Tang family wanted to kill her, it was Tang Yi who had stood up for her and stopped them from killing her. He had even forced them to let her go. Of the entire Tang family, Tang Yi was the only one who remained on her mind. However, Tang Zi knew that she was here today to bring the Empress back to the imperial city and to wipe out the entire Tang family. Naturally, she knew what she needed to do. Moreover, she had nothing to do with the Tang family anymore. If Tang Yi was not aware of the thing that had happened to Empress Nailan, she would beg Feng Ruqing to let go of him. She would show him no mercy otherwise. When the elders saw Tang Zi, they had quickly thought that Feng Ruqing was here today to avenge Tang Zi. As long as she had vented her anger, she would leave. On the contrary, seeing Feng Ruqing coming to the Tang family again, a flicker of fear crossed Tang Luo's face. He felt an inexplicable unease at his heart, as if something had gone beyond his control.